Check. 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 Check.
Oh my God, here we go.
If we ran Nintendo.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 123 of If We Ran Nintendo. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the greatest co-host in all the land, Mr. Sean Capri.
Feels
What's
like
up, Sean?
we're right back at home, Mr. Bobby
I know,
Pauls. We're back at it, man. This feels nice. How are you?
Goodbye, Jason Lacy. Nice to know you.
Oh,
See you
no.
later.
Oh, no.
No, dude, it feels good, man.
Yeah, it's
Feels
nice.
good.
I like our Friday dates. We got a Friday
Yeah,
night date
man,
night.
it's been fun. It's better when I don't have to work the next day. I will
Fair.
say that.
Fair.
Like last Friday was probably better for me
Yeah.
than this Friday.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because the weird thing too is like when this is, I don't know why this is, but like last Friday, I was fine all up until this time.
Mm-hmm.
This Friday, I'm like, like I'm all out of it and stuff. Like
It happens,
well,
man.
it was a train ride all over again.
It happens. Just we're like hanging out, talking. I look over and Bobby's out.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
I was
How many
tired.
hours did you put into editing vlogs though this week? You probably put in 40 hours into editing. What are you
A
working for
lot,
Rockstar over
dude.
here? You in crunch time, Bobby?
The vlogs are taking me a lot long. Well, okay, so you got a little sneak peek of what a vlog takes
Mm-hmm.
because when you came here, and I have to figure out a quicker way to get the video footage from my phone to my computer.
Yeah.
That's my biggest hang up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I literally will come home from work, plug in the phone, start transferring, and then walk away.
There's got to be something
And
else.
then like there's got to be something else.
Is there
man. I
anything you
can't
can do?
figure
Can
it
you
out.
start like the transfer? Like while you're, can you like video? You know, putting your boxer shorts on. Like, please, could you do that for us, Bobby? Put your boxer shorts. Your boxers or briefs
Nope.
kind of guy. Putting your
Ugh.
briefs on. You know, and then
I
you
got
get to
boxer-
work.
I got boxer briefs.
But in all seriousness, so for the Xbox Drive, I record to my phone. I record the audio to my phone. I've got like a little like lapel mic that I wear. Or actually, one time I hung it from the visor, like the thing that blocks the sun out of your eyes. It was like dangling there. It was swinging back and forth.
Yeah.
Not the best plan.
No,
So, anyways, what I do is I email that audio file to myself, so I don't have to connect anything or whatever. But I use mail drop. Apple's like, do you want to send the actual file or do you want to use mail drop? And we can walk through that, man. It might be a thing. You do
Take a
that,
look.
you know, while you're at work. Use work Wi-Fi if you can.
Nah, we don't have Wi-Fi at work. Can't do it.
Son of a gun.
But I'll figure something out.
Okay, I hope you do, man, because that does take too
Yeah.
long.
The other thing I want to do is I want to start. So I went right and ordered a whole bunch of stuff today. $100 worth of stuff. I bought.
It's almost like, are these your geek outs, Bobby? Are we geeking out right now?
No. I'm just explaining.
Okay.
So I bought a.
Oh no. Oh no.
I bought a selfie stick.
Okay.
But it's also a tripod and all that. Like it's a multifaceted thing.
Mhm.
So it could be a mini tripod for a cell phone. It's made for a cell phone. So it could be a mini tripod, but then it can also extend like a selfie stick. But
That's
then it also
sweet.
has a remote control to turn the phone on when you're.
Oh,
like,
snap! Really?
Yeah, and then the other thing I bought was a microphone,
Mhm.
which, because of my Apple phone and the newness of it, there's a dongle that has to go in, so that way, because there's no
Yeah.
like
3.5
you know,
millimeter
whatever.
jack.
Yeah,
like a
exactly.
headphone
That's
jack.
all gone. Yeah, so I bought those two things. I bought a light box.
Did you?
Yes, because I want to start doing, when I do unboxings, I want better video footage
Yeah,
of the things.
that'll do
like,
it.
rather than me just going like, "Hey, look at this new controller."
Yeah.
I can actually put the thing in, and check this. I bought a rotating disc, so I
Get
can
out
actually.
of here.
Yeah, man, I could actually drop this into
Yeah.
a stand, which I have stands back there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Put it in the stand, turn on the rotating disc in the light box, which the light box has LEDs built into it, right? And then this would just spin, and I would have my 4K camera just
My
taking
God.
really
And you can,
crisp
everybody
pictures.
can go support Bobby at www.patreon.com/makeusbetter. He's getting better all the
Get
time.
out of here! No, don't do that! Don't do that! By the way, I can't really say much. I got some things in the works. I got some irons in the fire.
Uh-huh.
I got Adam Leonard working on some stuff for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, dude! I can't wait till I can show this stuff off.
Oh, we got
This
another
this
Nintendo
guy-
Guru Direct coming, it looks like.
It's a potential. It's a potential.
Yeah, man.
It really
Christmas
is.
time Direct. That'd be
It is.
amazing. You should totally do it dressed up like Santa Claus, coming directly at you on Christmas Day.
The other thing I got to do is, man, I just
Please
thought
do
about
that.
this tonight, man. I have to get my crap together in terms of like a diet of some sorts. Like
Mm.
I am a train wreck. I think because I'm running so ragged,
Yep.
the last thing I'm thinking about is like eating healthy.
Yep.
And
Meal planning.
I really need to focus in on that and really get that under control because I've noticed this is where you know it's bad. I've noticed my breathing is
Mm.
elevated. Like as I'm just recording stuff, I can hear it in the and I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me, dude. No, that can't be.
You can do it,
And
man.
so-
You did
No,
it before.
I know.
You've done it before.
Yeah, I know.
You know what it takes?
Yeah, no, I know that. I know that.
And I'm sorry, can you hear Chelsea coughing in the background? Can you hear all that?
occasionally.
Okay.
Last week, now, did you cut her out last week?
No, but it's a little aggressive. Like it's a
'cause,
little.
You know, I'm a little annoyed with her right
It's
now.
a little much. Well, you can take that. You can take care of that with her. What do you want me to say about it, Bobby?
I'm trying, dude. I'm sending her a message privately. I'm like, please, like,
She thinks that it's your fault, so you guys can work that out
it's
yourselves.
my fault. Why is it my fault?
I don't know. I really hope you guys can work it out because I put in a serious bid to name our daughter Bobby with an I, and she shut it down faster than I don't even
Dude,
know. It made my head spin.
She said something like she was supposed to be named Bobby.
Yeah,
or
I
something
like
like
it.
that.
Bobby for a girl
I love
is sweet,
it, man. I'm like, come on, Bobby Capri. Like,
yeah,
that
Bobby
is an
Capri is
amazing
pretty sweet.
name. It's
Yeah.
a really nice name.
It is.
Seriously.
It is nice.
I'm really disappointed.
We saw her
I messaged
today.
her.
We saw the little girl. We
Oh, did
we
you?
went for ultrasound.
So Bobby.
Yeah, we saw
I'm gonna
Bobby.
keep
Yeah, we
calling-
saw Bobby.
Her name's Bobby Capri. I could care less.
I like
That's what I'm
it. I
calling
like
her.
my little Bobby.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna call her.
So the funny thing was like, after you messaged me, right? You're like, dude, I'm so sorry. I made a serious play for this, and she just shot it down. I immediately messaged her,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I really think you should I really think you should look into this and consider like Bobby Capri is an amazing name. And she's like, no.
Yeah,
I'm like, what do you mean no? And I'm like, you're being really disrespectful.
definitely
right now.
disrespectful and
like-
unreasonable.
Yeah, exactly, and unreasonable. I'm like, this is,
And on top of that,
this is
she's coughing
nonsense.
all over our podcast. You know.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like you're being
I'm
like.
just, who am I to say, man? She's like 8 months pregnant. It's just like
Yeah.
it's a miracle she like gets up
Is-
and like
is
makes
it
dinner.
8 months, really?
Yeah, man. Like we're in the final
Oh,
countdown.
man. Wow.
Yeah, it's happening. November
That's
15th.
awesome.
It's happening,
That's
man.
amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. It's a
That's
full.
great.
Like we saw hair today on the ultrasound. That's how far along she is.
Get out.
We saw hair just like
ponytail?
floating around. Yeah, she
She has a
like.
ponytail?
You remember that scene in 300 where they go to see like that oracle thing, and she's like just floating around, and then that was that's what the
Jesus.
ultrasound was.
Only you, dude. Only you.
Just
So
way less sexual.
So what's up with the Pokemon Go stuff?
Dude, I'm in it.
You need to leave me alone, man. I got like
Listen,
100. I got like 160 friends.
you don't.
Right? Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
You are such a loser.
So here's the thing, right? So, well, because listen, I threw it out there on Twitter like a dumbass with the hashtag Pokemon Go friends, plus just the people that follow me. Everybody started.
Well, yeah. No, what did you expect? Did you even do Mitomo? Like, you remember what happened there?
Yeah, so I was like, well, okay, but I gotta accept these people. But the problem is they limit how many gifts you can accept per day.
Right.
So I run out, and you're so far down the list.
Oh.
Only because we're new. You know what I mean? Like, so
guess.
I got to remember to go down to the bottom of the list to start to work you up the list.
Well, we don't
Dude,
live
I'm having
next door. And you
I'm having
changed my
some
life. Like, I mean, us going to New York and all the different, like, New York Pokemon Go is, like, on another level.
Oh,
first
it's
of all.
another level. Dude.
And
It's
the
another level.
curveball. I had no idea about this curveball business. I was like, what are you
Curveball.
shaking around? Are you just bored? And you're like, no, man, it makes it better for them to catch. Is like,
Well, because
oh.
you catch them, it's harder for them to
And then you
jump
get it
out.
like first try, you get a curveball, and you get a nice or a great shot in there. You're just getting
Yeah, man.
XP, getting ready for
Yeah,
this.
man.
Let's go. What are you gonna? Are you getting Let's Go Pikachu
Oh,
or Eevee?
I'm gonna buy them both.
Yeah.
but I think I'm gonna play.
You gonna buy both?
Pikachu. Well, yeah, because
Bobby Big Bucks over here.
You gotta have them both.
You
dude.
don't have to got them both.
Yeah. You gotta get them all, man. You gotta get them all.
I guess so. I guess so.
Here's
You gotta,
the thing,
you gotta
Sean.
support those indie developers, Bobby.
Here's the thing. I am going to buy the Switch.
Oh, the limited edition. Not
yeah.
Diablo. I like the Diablo one too, man. Diablo.
I don't like
sweet.
the Diablo one. I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of these black and gray ones, man.
Oh, that's fair.
There's no character to them.
Okay, that's fair.
Like even the Smash one, it's just like, man, you could do it a little bit more. Like, of course, the Eevee and the Pikachu one isn't like a home run for me.
Sure.
But there's enough color to it. Like, I really like the Joy-Cons. Like, that's the other thing too. Like, man, Diablo, you're doing gray Joy-Cons. It's the same thing.
Yeah, you should drip with
why
blood.
do you do like blood red or like the devil with the red and stuff? Like, what are you doing, man?
Mm-hmm. Actually, red and blue would be perfect for Diablo. Like the little bulbs that you see in the bottom part of the screen, with like red is your health and the blue is your mana. Like that would have been perfect if we ran Nintendo.
If we ran Nintendo, we would do it.
There was a little mini topic in there for Todd.
Exactly.
Yeah, hold them off for a little bit.
So let's kick this episode off like we do each and every episode with our shout-outs.
What you playing? Brought to you by Flexibles, dude. Ball.
We just do it.
Breaking news on the Xbox Live.
So I wanted to give a shout out to Toby.
Is he okay?
He's been going through a rough patch lately, and some stuff that he's struggling with some depression, and he basically come off his meds because he found out that it's altering his sperm count, and they're trying to.
Why are you laughing? I don't know if this is real or not now.
Just saying sperm count is kind of messed up on the air.
But
he's trying to but he's being strong. But I really feel like Toby needs to stay on the meds. This is really important to you. Like, I know that you guys did lose a baby, and it's a traumatic time, but you need to be strong through it all. So,
yeah, but I don't know how I top that one, but I know what it's like, and it sucks. There's ways to get through it. I'll just jump in and say.
I mean, listen, like Kate will have another kid. Like it's okay. Like Kate will be okay.
What is happening? What? Who?
Kate.
Kate.
Yeah. This is us portion of the show. This is
You're the host of the show. You can just take us wherever you want from here. Not really sure what's happening at all. This is new for me.
Man. Toby is
oh.
This is us. Him and his wife, they just miscarried and all that. Spoilers. They miscarried, and he went off the meds so he could get his sperm count up so they can have another kid.
So the character on This Is Us, his name is Toby?
Yes, one of them.
I quit this damn show. Are you serious right now?
I am so serious.
It's actually really good.
It was good. Because I know you were sitting there like, what the hell is he?
I'm like, man, I didn't know Toby was open about this stuff, but I mean, like, yeah, man, we're here for you. Like, that sucks. Like,
oh, that was the best.
That was the best show. That was a stupid show. You just ruined it even more for me.
Dude, it is a really good show.
What a stupid show. I'm not watching it.
Such a fantastic show, Sean. Really is. I mean, dude, everybody needs a little emotion in their life.
No, I got better things to do with my life and my time, man. I gotta floss my teeth at least a couple times a week. So screw This Is Us. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yes, they do. Justin Hartley is amazing.
Who?
Justin Hartley. He's an actor.
What are we talking about?
He's
Remember
gorgeous.
The show was great.
He's a great guy.
Gorgeous. What happened to you?
True shout out. Alex Van Eken. Going to be on Nintendo Talk
Live. Oh, hell yeah, man.
Tomorrow night. I am so amped up for this. At this point, if you're listening to this, it's already happened. But, dude, this guy is a rock star.
He is.
Amongst us. He really is. This has been in the works for over a year. Basically, we were really hot and heavy with the negotiations of him trying to figure out a time for him to come on.
Oh, yeah. That.
And then I disappeared. And then that kind of dropped everything. And then when I came back, I had messaged him like, man, dude, I really want to get you on. And he was like, dude, anytime. And then I finally was like, all right, I got to make this happen. So I was like, all right, Alex, when are we doing this? And he gave me a date. He was like, what do you have open? I gave him a list of dates. I'm like, you pick it, whatever one's yours. What I did was I was filling guests for like the next 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Alex, here's all the dates. Which one do you want? And he picked it. And I was like, okay. And I filled in everybody around him. So most of the times when I book guests, I go, this is the date I have available.
That's it.
You want to come on? But with Alex, I was just like, you pick the date, dude. Pick the date. Let's go. And he picked the date. And so it's happening.
And what's your
tomorrow.
address so I can send flowers too?
What's that?
You want to send him flowers. You're not only. Never mind. Move on.
I'm not sending him flowers.
Send him flowers. He'll really appreciate it.
I'm not doing that. I'm not that type of guy.
What are those cardigans or I don't know, something.
So Sean, real quick before I go to your shout out.
Yeah.
Do you have Amazon Prime?
Chelsea has it. And you know what she does with it? You know what she does with it? She uses her free Twitch Prime subscription to support me at twitch.tv/Sean Capri. But what were you saying, Bobby?
Well, no, because I was curious because I was thinking about buying it.
Yeah.
Because like in the divorce, I kind of lost Prime.
Son of a gun.
Just got shut off on me.
Holy
lost
crap.
all access.
I'm outraged.
You know, I'm outraged. So, but I was thinking about getting it, and I was just like, I think this is the test because I just bought that stuff that I was talking about on Amazon.
Yep.
And I want to see how long it takes to get here. So it's saying 5 to 8 days, which if it takes 5 to 8 days, I don't know. I think I'll wind up spending. I mean, I didn't pay for shipping.
Right. That's why.
But it's 5 to 8 days. You know what I mean? Because I spent over $25. But
get it, Bobby.
The 2-day free shipping is I think it went up to like $125. I just don't know that I want to spend $125.
I think you should get it. I think you just get it.
Yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe next week when I get paid next week.
We wrestled with it for a long time, and then we're just like, you know what, man? We're always like, we're always, especially like Christmas is coming up, and you're gonna want to get stuff.
Well, the crazy thing is when I had Prime, right? Dude, I was just buying stuff all the time, and just, like I would sit there and go like, oh man, you know what? I need toothbrush. Like I was literally driving to work one day. It's like I need to get a new toothbrush.
Yeah, man.
I went on there and I like ordered it, and then boom, it showed up like a couple days later. It's like, oh, you know what? I need to get this for the house. And it's just like done. It's just so convenient, you know. So I'm gonna look at it. But anyway, what you have a shout out this week?
I have a quick shout, very quick.
Yeah.
I think we missed it. Joe After Work reached 1,000 followers a little while ago, actually. 1,000 followers on twitch.tv/Joe After Work. He's one of my favorite people on planet Earth. So congratulations. And probably just as much work. Like that's an accomplishment. It's a milestone. We should celebrate it. Probably just as much work. He beat the final boss in Undertale. I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you saw this thing that he was trying to play. He played it for like 4 days, 3 days or something. I don't want to get it wrong.
He was saying it was taking forever.
Dude, this thing was I've never seen anything like it. And he was just like, he kept going, and he's just like his jolly old self, like, oh, son of a gun, like mother effer, but like still kind of like joking and charming and loving, like he is.
I can't do it, man. I can't do it.
Well, Joe can, and that's why you guys should support him. Joe After Work.
Yeah, Joe's awesome. Gotta check Joe's stuff out.
Yep, that's it.
So topic time. Let's jump into our topics. So this week I basically started to just think about things. And the one thing that like I told you this a couple weeks ago, I think, that where I got the idea for topics was I started going through like Nintendo Facebook groups. And there was a couple of topics that were lined up where people were just like, what are some of the dumbest moves Nintendo did? And so one obviously is like the Virtual Boy, which we discussed that topic a few weeks ago. And then another one was like the marketing on the Wii U. We did that last week. And then another one that seemed to be really coming up a lot was obviously the disappearance of the Nintendo PlayStation, where Nintendo was just like, nope, see you later. But we did that a long time ago. You and I did that one. But this one, I felt like if Nintendo stays on the course correct of like, we're not going to go with Sony, the idea of should they have continued down the course of cartridges for the N64 or moved over to some type of different media. And that's what I want to talk about.
Yep.
It doesn't necessarily have to be CD, but where do we go with all this, and how do we get there? So that's what I wanted to say. That's what the topic is if we ran Nintendo, how would we have handled the N64, would we have stuck to cartridges or would we have gone a different route? Because in my opinion, the N64 was the beginning of the demise for Nintendo and third parties. They're doing very well right now, but the back and forth treacherous loss of third parties really happened with the N64. Now, it started with the Super Nintendo because Nintendo was doing a lot of bullying. And actually, you can go back to the NES where they were bullying and going like, you're only. But I understand why they did all that. They did all that because they needed quality control, because that's what killed Atari, was the lack of quality and shovelware, and basically destroyed Atari. So
when
Nintendo
do you think
comes
that's going
in,
to affect? Like, don't you think like things are worse now? Sorry to jump in, but like, don't you think things are worse now in terms of quantity and quality control?
So yesterday on Nintendo Guru Daily, every Thursday, I'm going to go on the eShop and go through the eShop.
I saw that.
Dude, there is so much bad stuff out there.
Yeah, man.
It's not even funny, dude. It is so bad.
What's the difference,
there was literally,
between now and then?
Well,
why are things not imploding right now?
Because I think the problem with the Switch is this. So you look at
maybe it's
Steam,
the cartridges.
right?
Maybe that's the big difference.
Well, possibly, and this is all digital. So I don't think that I don't think the average person sees all these games. Like,
most of us don't see most of these games.
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is like a kid might know about the eShop, but I don't really know how much a parent knows about the eShop.
Yeah.
So, like when I was a kid, right, and the Atari was out, my parents saw it all because it was in the stores. And you would go to the store and you would buy a game and it was garbage. It seems like what's in the stores are good games. It seems like what's on digital is where a lot of the bad is coming in, because I feel like what's happening is Nintendo's getting a barrage from both the Steam games and mobile games. Like, dude, there was that one game I talked about yesterday. It was a drifting game, and it's a $5 game.
Yeah,
it's a racing game, and it's drifting. $5? Like, how good can that game be for $5?
Maybe it's great.
It's a brand new game. No way that thing's any good. And so for me, I looked at it and I was just like, you look through that eShop and it's really depressing of how much. 21 new games yesterday, Sean.
That's crazy.
21 new games. It's a madhouse. So this is where I feel like, and we're getting a little bit on a tangent or whatever, but this is where
I think it's related for sure.
This is where I definitely feel like Nintendo needs to drop the hammer and go, we are going to separate. We are going to put quality independent developers into a different category here. These are our Nindies, and these are our Nondies, whatever you want to call them. I don't care.
Nondies.
These people are just horrible.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to say horrible, but they're just they're
well, you have like your trusted partners or whatever and something else.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to have something. And they need to differentiate and get strong independent developers that are making good quality. Dude, that one game I was showing, $20 for the game. And when I first clicked it, right, I was like, I forget the name of it.
Which one, the first one?
It was one with the crow. And when I first clicked on it, right, I'm like, oh, this looks a little interesting. And I'm watching it, and it's pixel art and stuff. I'm like, okay, this seems all right, whatever. And when I came out of the trailer and I saw it was $20, I'm like, no way, dude. The game is not a $20 game, dude. I bought, straight up, dude, SteamWorld Dig 2, $20 game.
Yeah.
Flipping Death, $20 game.
Okay, that makes more sense when you put it that way, rather than just saying this game is worth $20.
Like Runner 3, $20 game. When you look at the quality of games that hit the Switch for $20, no. Like, that's where I draw the line. I look at it and go, like, what did I pay?
What you did, though, with the $5 game. Like, it could have been, maybe that is a $20 game, but they're like, man, this isn't SteamWorld Dig, so we got to price this at $5. So, I mean, pricing is, I mean, we've talked to developers about this as well. Pricing is so strange, too. Yeah. Pricing is very weird. Absolutely. It's hard to do.
Absolutely. So when I look at, like, the Super Nintendo and then the N64.
Yep.
So in between those two was the talk of the Nintendo PlayStation.
Yep.
Which was supposed to be a combative piece against Sega CD and moving the generation into the CD realm of things.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo doesn't go that way. Nintendo basically, it's pretty much, you can go anywhere and find the story. But essentially what happens is Nintendo actually reads the contract that they've been given, and they're getting bent over by Sony. They're basically putting games out and not really getting, like, they're licensing games to Sony, and Sony's going to start to recoup everything and take control of everything. And Nintendo's just like, wait a minute, pump the brakes. This isn't what we want. And they, rather than going to Sony prior, they do it on the E3 stage and basically stab them in the back, which starts a quasi feud, which doesn't end there. People think that it ends there. It doesn't end there. Actually, there's a huge meeting with third parties, Nintendo and Sony, where the third parties are begging Nintendo to fix the issue. They don't want Nintendo to go to Philips. They want Nintendo to fix the issue. Nintendo listens to the pleas, says we'll come up with a decision, and then they wind up not listening to the third parties, which they thought that they basically had the third parties by the cojones. They just figured, like, hey man,
of course they did.
They're gonna have to come to us. The catalyst was Square Enix, which at the time was just Squaresoft. They go to Nintendo with Final Fantasy VII, and they go, listen, there is no way we can put this game on your console. It's going to be 12 cartridges compared to 3 discs. Now, let's do some comparison here. The cartridges were costing about $20 to $30 per cartridge for the third-party developer to put out. For a disc, it was costing $3 to $7 a disc. So when you look at the grand scheme of things, you go, this game is going to be a $200, $300 game with you, and it's going to be a $21 game over here with these
plus
guys.
Sacrifices. It wasn't even like an exact copy. Like, you didn't get the exact same. Like, music was better because of it's discs and everything. You're still using MIDI and all that other stuff with cartridges. Completely different experience. This is a great example of Nintendo, yes, being a little bit too confident, a little too arrogant about their relationship with everybody who's making games, and a giant ship turning that big old wheel, trying to like turn with the technology. Like, CD wasn't even brand new at this time that we're talking about. The Sega CD came out, I think, in 1991. So like, Sega was already kind of moving on this, and computers were already moving on this as well. Like, the CDs were the future. But still, Nintendo, I think.
But there's one piece of the pie, or one piece of the puzzle that people forget about. Sony owned the patents to CDs.
For CDs, for sure. Yes. Well, of course.
And
I mean,
Nintendo and Nintendo's
like, that's our game.
After
on cartridges.
After just stabbing Sony in the back on the whole deal, they definitely did not want to give them money.
Yeah, even if they went with Philips, they'd still be siphoning money out to Sony as well.
Yes, exactly. And the thing of it is this. It's like, Nintendo is not a tech company. So 9 times out of 10, every single console that they put out, they are basically buying or leasing or licensing patents in order to make it happen.
Right.
The 3DS is a prime example. They didn't come up with the technology for the 3D screen. A company came to them and they said, okay, this is what we're going to do. Boom. Which, by the way, they had it set up where they were going to do full screen TVs like this. The same tech company, but the thing never took off. 3D kind of died. 3D television.
That's crazy, man, because they died because of the glasses. Like, if we all, every one of us who was playing on the 3DS was like, if this was on the TV and if they managed to kind of like make it so that you don't have to be in that perfect spot, like I feel like they did with the 3DS, like with the tracking and everything, that was excellent. But you're right, like they go to lesser known companies. They don't go with like really direct or big companies because they can control them. Those smaller companies, they can stiff arm them a little bit.
Exactly. So the idea of them wanting to jump into CDs and having to give Sony money off of everything they'll see, they didn't want that to happen. Which, like you said, with the cartridges, these companies had to pay Nintendo for the cartridges. And so it was a situation. So right off Jump Street, I can tell you already that I don't know that I would have stuck with cartridges, but I felt like cartridges was the better option then. And main reason was load times, because there were zero load times
Yep.
with the cartridges back then. Like you literally put it in, flip the switch, and it was on. Where with Sony, you put the disc in, you turn it on, you have to wait for the load screen to hit and everything to happen. That was the number one, and it was a big tool that Nintendo used back in that era to be like, hey, we don't have load times. And
it was
and
so
people,
weird to fire up a console and be like, now loading. Like, now loading. What the heck is this, man? And what you're talking about, I think, speaks to like the image and brand of Nintendo, especially back then, which is, and it's still here now, like family first, right? So kids are playing with these cartridges, they're throwing them around, they're like bouncing them around, so they're a little tougher. Actually, they're quite a bit tougher than CDs. CDs were famously getting scratched up and not usable. You can save directly to them, so they're easier to use. Like, they're just the flow through for it. Like, I understand the move. But like when you kind of compare technology, which this is what Nintendo does, they just stare something that's like objectively better on all measures in terms of fidelity, and they go, no thanks, we're gonna put out the Wii at 480p, even though 360s are coming out, or the PS3's coming out with Blu-ray and all these other things. They're like, no, we're good.
The crazy thing though, at that time, Nintendo wasn't a company that steered away from power. I mean, the Super Nintendo was a powerful console. The N64 was very powerful. The GameCube was one of the most powerful consoles on the market.
GameCube's the only one, actually. If I remember correctly, GameCube's the only one that was like, oh man, these guys are pumping out some good stuff here.
Well, the thing of it is like, I don't want to say that they won with the N64 and the SNES, but they were comparable.
Sure,
they were in the ball game.
I suppose. Yeah, I see what you mean.
You know what I mean? Like now, you look at now, it's like the Switch is nowhere near raw power as the PS4 and the Xbox One, but the gap was a lot closer. And then when the GameCube hit, they went with power, and guess what? It didn't do anything for them.
Yeah,
like they got blown out the waters with the other two. So when you look at this, right? So I want to look at the GameCube for a second, because that was the start of them going to a CD base, a disc base.
Couldn't just do a normal disc, man. They couldn't just do a normal size. Like they just
because they own, if I'm not mistaken, they own those discs. They own the rights to those discs, and it was their own proprietary thing. So I mean, it makes sense to me. That whole thing makes sense. Why are you do not want to pay your competition? Which, I mean, you look at Xbox. Xbox continues to this day to pay Sony for stuff.
I know, that's crazy.
And it's nuts, because you got to think that like the only time they tried to separate was when they took the battle against, you know, HD versus Blu-ray, and they lost. You know what I mean? But which that was a whole weird thing too.
I know. I liked HD. I just got rid of my collection.
Dude, that was like VHS versus Betamax. Same exact thing.
That's where I'm at in console wars. Just in case Todd Oxer is wondering, I'm at they're talking about Betamax and the VHS and the VCR, everything. Yeah, it's great stuff.
That's a good book. I gotta finish it.
Well, so talking about that too, though, like it's not like they were the only ones coming up with their own technology for discs. So, like Dreamcast came out, it was like a GD-ROM, I think, or something like that. Even though the 360 used or could read DVDs, I don't think that the games were on DVD. They were on, I believe they're on something else. So the reason I bring that up is because Nintendo is not only wanting their own proprietary stuff for money, but also big on modding and stealing and pirating. So you couldn't do that. And I feel like that was the biggest reason.
Like you think about it too, like with the PlayStation. I was just talking with
PS1 and the PSP, man, nuts,
Dude, I had a guy come here the other day, right, to fix the heat. So he comes in and we just start talking, right? And we're out in the living room, and he sees like the statues and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, did you go to this con? Did you go to this con?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not," because he's talking about.
Like, mother sucker, I'm the Nintendo guru. Okay.
I was like,
it's on my wall.
It was him and an apprentice. I was like, "All right, guys, you guys are talking some trash. Come with me." We come back here, and they were like, "Oh my god, dude, are you serious?"
Yeah,
I'm like, "Yeah, dude, this is no joke, dude." I'm like, "I'm streaming, I'm doing this, I'm doing that." Gave him my business cards, and
love it.
So then, right, so the funny thing is, me and the guy start talking about the PlayStation, and he's talking about like, dude, me and my friends used to go to Blockbuster, used to like rent the game, take it home,
burn it,
take it back to the store, and go like, we're not really feeling this game. Can we just swap it out for another game? And they would go get another
On the
game.
same rental.
On the same
It
rental.
wasn't even enough to just steal per rental. You had to like multiply. No. Okay, that's pretty good. I was going to one up you, but that's pretty good. But I know a guy, one of my best friends growing up, worked at Blockbuster. So anybody who worked at Blockbuster, I believe it was the same in the States. If you worked there, you got like 10 free rentals a week. Like you could just, so dude, you should have seen his binder was crazy. Like he was just like, he didn't even care about the games at all. And just you get those ones with, you could eventually get those ones with the black bottoms too, so they match too. Yeah, like everything was the same. Holy crap! So yes, related to all of this, so they were very incentivized to remain in cartridges because of piracy.
Because and you just even talked about like the PlayStation Portable, dude. That was
oh my god.
The reason why the PlayStation Portable was so popular had nothing to do with the Sony games. Had to do with the fact of like people were basically turning them into mini Nintendo machines. And they were basically putting NESs and Super Nintendos right on these things and taking them wherever. So when you talk to people that really have nostalgia for the PSP, a lot of them talk about like the Nintendo games they played.
Oh, for sure.
Which is ironic as hell. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, you know, you're but whatever. So it definitely is, to me, it begs to look at it like, I understand why Nintendo is always a little hesitant to jump into things. I mean, like even like the internet, like with the online play and stuff, like they're totally always worried about people stealing their stuff. Yeah, you know, and
cheating with the cloud saves and all these other things. Like it's just it continues on and on.
And they're always a step behind. But that's not where.
But what if I want to talk about the decision to not siphon money towards Sony. The whole so that's the kind of thing we can all look at. Man, if they just went to CDs, they would have had Square, they would have had Final Fantasy VII, they would have had all these things, and maybe Sony never takes off.
Let's be honest. If they
maybe they do. Like maybe, and the thing is that the rounded part of this thought is maybe they still go CDs, maybe they still get some people, maybe they get Final Fantasy, but they're still pissing off all these other parties, and Sony is hungry, and they still like. What if it was a bit more of a battle, but Sony still kind of does their thing. Meanwhile, Nintendo has gone backwards on their vision, on their identity of being family friendly, of being like Nintendo first, and to not siphon money out. Like if they compromise on that thing that is so central to their company, I feel like we would be looking at a completely different. It's like butterfly effect here. I feel like it's not like you swap one out for the other and everything works out the same. I feel like there's so many other different outcomes that could have happened depending on what they did there.
See, I think that if Nintendo does go CD, they definitely don't lose Square. And for me,
that's everything.
I don't buy the PlayStation. For me personally, I don't buy the PlayStation. Like I bought the PlayStation for Final Fantasy VII. Yeah. It was the only reason I bought the PlayStation. Because and Sean, when I tell you there are so many people out there with the same story. I bought the N64 because I love Nintendo games. And let's be honest, man, like Rare was crushing it on the N64.
Yep.
You know, like
actually, you know, you're right. Yeah, that wouldn't even been fair. You got Rare and then Square at the bet, like Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy Tactics. Yeah, what about Konami? What about Metal Gear?
I don't think Konami leaves. If you know what I mean, like I think Konami goes. So here's the thing. I think what happens is Konami, Square, all these companies leave because of that one faulty step. Like Capcom even bailed. You know what I mean? Like Capcom started to go heavily. Like they still did stuff on the N64, but most of it started switching over to Sony. So, and I think a lot of them did that just for the fact of like, hey man, the disc cost $7. Like it's a no-brainer, man. We're here to make money.
You know what else that does actually, Bobby? Okay, so this is the butterfly effect here. This is the best episode we ever did. Okay, so Nintendo becomes a powerhouse, right? That's kind of what we're saying here. Final Fantasy VII goes there, Konami goes there. They're just like, they're bigger and badder than ever. Sega dies sooner than we know them to have. They never even get to the Dreamcast. So Sega and Sony, who were in talks during all of this stuff as well, kind of like, what do you guys want to do? I think they partner up way sooner. So I think actually Sega and Sony become a thing to battle against this
And then
N64 with a CD or
and
whatever.
then probably Sonic never happens on a Nintendo console.
Probably not.
Like, because that was a big thing when Sega finally died. I feel like, I feel like Nintendo did a couple of things wrong during this era. One was obviously just feeling like they were unstoppable. You know, like they had this. I mean, come on, dude. When you're making the money you're making at that point, like, let's be honest. I think there's a lot of people in this world that would have just been like, "What? We know what we're doing. These guys don't know. They came to us because they don't know.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like they came to us because they want to get in the game and they don't know, so they don't know what they're doing,
and they don't even know what they want to do. Like even internally, Sony's like, "Do we want to get into video games?" Like it was kind of like this spearheaded underground. It wasn't even like from the top, like we're getting into video games. It was these secret projects that people are working on. Like, no, seriously, we want to do this.
But the other problem too is that Sony has money where Sega didn't really have the coffers that Sony had. So it was also one of those things of like, you've pissed Sony off, so now they're gonna man up and they're gonna come at you with guns blazing and just gonna fight you to the tooth and nail. I think the other issue is that they just were hungry, but I think Nintendo overlooked them and just were like, nobody's gonna go over there, because I don't think Nintendo in their minds thought that like all the third parties would bail the way they did.
Right.
Nintendo just assumed that like, hey, the third parties are making money on our consoles, which they were at that time. It's not like they weren't making money. It's not like the Wii U era or the Wii era where third parties weren't making money and the only ones making money were Nintendo. Dude, during the NES, during the Super Nintendo, everybody was making money. The problem is Nintendo wasn't giving them as much money as they should have been. This is where we get into the point of like you and I talk. Like right now, Nintendo should be offsetting some of the costs of the cartridges to get them to go like, to get Doom or Bethesda to turn around and go like, you know what? We're not going to do this half online, half stuff. We're just going to buy one cartridge, boom, and put everything on the thing. You know, like NBA 2K, we're not going to do where you got to download a bunch of the stuff off.
Why not, man? I think that's actually I think that's the funny thing is that solution sort of like came about because of how hard-headed Nintendo was. And they're like, you guys figure it out, man. You don't like this? Figure it out. And they're like, all right. I feel like
for you and I,
it's a victimless crime.
I know, but
it's not really.
But the thing of it is like for Timmy that doesn't, you know, that basically has a Switch, but his parents didn't buy him an upgraded SD card. He's got a problem. You know, you and I don't have this problem.
That's fair.
But, you know, so I look at it like that. Like that's a problem that Nintendo needs to face and look at and go like, hey man, we need to get as much stuff off the hard drive as possible.
Well,
so if we can,
they could have made it worse, man.
Set a little bit.
They could have made it. They could have gone like full on Nintendo or even Sony and made those, and instead of SD, which is dirt cheap, could have had.
Yeah, they could have went proprietary.
Feet of memory cards, man. They really could have. Like that. That's the Nintendo style. Like
but I don't think they're that stupid.
Well,
that was a dumb move on Sony's part.
How long were we buying memory cards on pretty much every other console previous, other than the 3DS, which also used like regular SD, but like during the entire CD era.
True.
Tons.
But that was always Sony's. That was. I just think well, whatever. That's why the Vita died. I think that's why the Vita never had a chance. I buy a $200 console and I have to buy an $80 memory card when the same memory card is $10.
Yeah, that'll work.
Like what? I bought a 32 gig Vita card for $80. I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now.
And that's the thing about video games, man, that is so crazy is like something that simple can cripple the entire thing. Not going to CDs, crippling. Not using like an inexpensive or consumer friendly option to save your games. Huge contributor.
So you were at this time, you're still pretty computer.
Oh yeah. Oh, big time. Right? Big time.
So my question to you is there anything out there at this time frame that you can remember that Nintendo probably could have swapped out instead of? Like, okay, like my first thought was like, oh, they go floppy disk, but floppy disks were even out Like
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to get
Like
at
zip
is
drives. They could have done like zip drives.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Like, is there something like that? Like, why couldn't you use a zip drive?
That's a good
You know what I mean?
question.
Like,
Something like it.
because those things were pretty quick. There was still a load time on them. I mean,
Mhm.
like when you would put, because I had a zip drive. It's funny. I had a Zip 100 and a Zip 250, and so
I love
the
it.
thing of it is they possibly could have used that
Mm-hmm.
as an alternative, because I'm curious how many, because it wasn't 250 was 250 megabytes, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't gig.
Yeah, I just don't understand like what
So
inherently
how
makes
big?
like it's just that the CD is digital. I don't know, like that had a lot to do with especially with like the music and stuff, or maybe it was space. I guess yeah, 250 because yeah, you're comparing it to CDs which was 650 megabytes if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're still not really even there. So I mean, but they had full control on how much capacity the cartridges could have had. Like that whole part kind of doesn't really make sense to me either. Like they could have, if they just wanted to, why didn't they just make them bigger?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Trying to find out how many gig Final Fantasy VII. That's what I want to see. I want to see the download size for the Final Fantasy.
It would have been like
VII.
1.
So it would have been 4. So Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, is it 4 discs?
The Final Fantasy VII was 3 discs. You could fit both Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII is 1.36 gig.
Yeah.
So you would need 5 250 zips.
Yeah, it's
right?
still not really.
Still pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But the question is how much did that cost compared to? I mean, was it cheaper than? I don't know how much a zip disk cost.
Yeah, I think it had to have
Yeah.
been, man. That's the whole thing. That's why CDs
But the other
took
question,
off.
but the other question is if you have the tech, right? Could you essentially go, okay, we want this to be 1 gig, or whatever? Because I mean, you had 3 discs. It was 3 discs, right? That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy that it took 3 discs to do 1.36 gig, and now that's like nothing.
Yeah.
Like 1.36 gigs is nothing. But so my question, I guess, is would they have had to have been stuck on? Because could they have done something that was like, hey, here's a cartridge, right? So I wonder if this is the thing. We're going to put 1 game in a cartridge, and then you load additional story in the zips. You know what I mean? Like, if the zip drive will be a peripheral.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering. I'm just
Yeah,
thinking out
it's
loud.
got to be. Yeah, no,
You know
I
what
get you. I get you. Like,
Because
what else could there have been?
remember, you had the N64 drive, right?
Yeah, 64.
Like,
Well,
you
it
know,
was 64 DD. Yeah.
64 DD, right? So, because that was their solution at the time for Final Fantasy. They went to Square and was like, "We're going to do this," and Square was just like, "We're going,
Yeah.
we're out of here." Because I wonder how much it would have taken for that. So you look at the alternatives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just wasn't, because there was also more to Square moving as well. There was also a publishing deal where Sony was going to publish all the games and become a partner with Square. They also bought into Square a little bit, which I think Square was looking forward to get like an influx of some cash. So there's a lot of multitudes to this thing, a lot of behind the scenes backdoor deals that were going on as well. So here's my thing. I'm not sold that they had to leave cartridges behind. The only thing that I'm sold on is that their whatever particular situation was bad. Meaning, you can't charge developers $35 or $30 for a cartridge. That's why these things were selling for $80, $90. Because they need to make money and they had to do what they had to do. My feeling is you go back to them and you go, hey, if you're going to buy these cartridges, we are going to, like, let's, as a company, because I feel like this, if companies are succeeding on your back and you're it's a partnership. And if you're giving up a little bit of your profits in order to give them profits, they're going to remember that and they're going to stick with you. And they're going to be like, hey man, yeah, it might cost us a little, right, to go to Nintendo, but they're backing us, they're promoting us, they're pushing us, they're helping us. It's a partnership deal. I feel like it's, and by the way, they do have all the history and they do have the knowledge and they can help us with some stuff. You're going into Sony, and Sony's basically asking you. And here's the other difference. Nintendo, at least makes the best games of any company at that time. So people are going to buy those consoles for those games. Sony, you're going over there and you're basically pushing that company because they have no first developers. Everything they're dependent upon is hiring teams or trying to buy studios. Because
you have to remember at the time,
wasn't really a first party, right?
Yeah, but companies back then were just looking for an alternative. They felt everybody had been feeling trapped by Nintendo for decades, really. So they're just like, anybody else? Okay, yeah, that costs like 30% less or whatever, probably more. Yes, doesn't even matter. The rest of it doesn't even matter. You don't even consider it.
Do you see? Because I think this is where I'm thinking. In terms of like a gamer, and I got to get out of it, is for me, the no loading times was huge.
Oh, for sure. Huge. But it's not the first time. It definitely wasn't the last time that people chose, I guess even in this case, it's backwards. What I thought my point was going to be, which is convenience over quality. Yeah. So like now we look at Netflix, it streams, it's not as good as popping a disc in, but it's convenient, and like even the selection isn't as good. You don't get all the movies there. But for whatever reason, that didn't carry over with the 64. Like it definitely was more convenient. We actually did. It was a time where we were looking for higher fidelity, and that actually mattered. Like like the size of your TV mattered, and like having a DVD player mattered, things like that. Now nobody cares. Nobody cares if you have like 1080p or 4K. Like we care because we're nerds, but like nobody really cares about, I got my ultra 4K Blu-ray. Like you buy Blu-ray? We look at it almost the exact opposite now. So it's very interesting difference in time.
You nailed it right there. You nailed it because, but here's the weird thing too. Even then, so for Sony, the idea is we need to get all these developers here to bring the gamers over here because they have nothing to offer. People are going to buy Nintendo consoles because they want Mario, they want Zelda, they want all those games that come along with it for the N64. So for a third party, I feel like you're taking a massive risk to move to Sony. So that's where I'm saying, like, if Nintendo just helps the third parties a little bit, maybe they don't need to leave the cartridges. Now, obviously, yes, they have to figure out something for Square because there's no way that game fits on anything they're doing. I think even the DD discs, the disc drives, like that even was going to be a lot. I think they were saying that was like 6 or 7. So there's obviously something you have to figure out there.
The partnership could have been in programming too, because you and I have talked about how like the magicians over at Nintendo, masters at compression, masters at programming, like they fit giant experiences on tiny cartridges all the time. It's kind of their specialty. Yeah. So I mean, not even talking about the size of the thing or discounting anything. Like it could have been a true partnership in that sense.
That could have been the thing in a nutshell, where Nintendo might have been pissed off at Square because it might have been like, really? You're leaving because you think it's going to take 12 discs.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to take 12 discs at your current thing. But let us touch it, and we'll get it down to 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there could have been... Or, knowing Nintendo, and knowing at the time you have Iwata, and you have all these guys that are magicians, maybe it's like, give us it, and we'll put it all on one cartridge. We'll make it fit.
That would have been interesting to see them try it at least.
Ooh, man, could you imagine?
Yeah, it would have been cool.
Could you imagine? Because at that time, Iwata was huge because...
But I mean, who knows? We saw what the Magic even did on the 64, and it still really wasn't like that impressive. You know what I mean? Like, you still looked at a lot of games that were Nintendo made, but still outperformed by a disc. So who knows, man? I don't know.
I just... like I said, the main thing for me as a consumer was the load times. That was a huge thing. But
it's hard to say. Also, Nintendo doesn't know how big Final Fantasy VII is going to be. Like, nobody has any idea that thing is going to be a monster. So you don't even, you go, okay, whatever. Like, the Final Fantasy games were kind of big, but like, whatever. Like, we didn't even care enough to sync them up in Japan and North America. Like, they're just all over the place. So go nuts with your 7.
But Metal Gear is another big one that was a huge hit to leave.
I mean, that's just it, man. This is all about timing. Like, gaming had been around for long enough for people to figure out, and for people to mature, and for gamers to mature. Like, it was just this perfect storm that, like, we needed to take the medium to another format. Like, we needed, for all these reasons, it needed to jump somewhere else. And, like, what are the chances that all those things lined up? And that we actually got to get, like, I don't know, if it should have happened earlier, probably not. I just... Like, that's when the CD format was available for us to take games to a bigger place, a more mature place, a more cinematic place. And Nintendo had no interest in any of those things, let alone fidelity or anything. It's like they were family friendly. And for these game makers to experiment like this and make new experiences, they needed a new format. So it just this was destined, man. This was like more powerful than any decision making that ever could have happened. I feel like it was, no matter what, it was going to happen. So
here's the question: How do we come to a consensus on this? Like, what's so here's my thing. I'm kind of in the camp of cartridges. Mm-hmm. You're obviously in the camp of discs moving away.
Yeah, but so the game is like, if we ran Nintendo, I guess, like, I mean, if we really wanted to be true to the identity of Nintendo, I feel like you kind of have to do what they did. But at the same time, the big thing that caught my attention was, if Nintendo went to CDs, they could have been like this giant player to push everybody the F out. Yeah. So for that reason, I think probably should have done it. Probably should have put your ego aside a little bit.
Let me throw something at you. What if, at that time, Nintendo actually went to Sega and was like, "Listen, let's stop fighting with each other. These guys are a true juggernaut. Like, dude, it's Sony. Like, say what you want, it's Sony."
Yeah, but so it was Panasonic with the 3DO. Like, there was a lot of big electronic makers. Like, whatever, man.
I get that. But here's the thing. Panasonic wasn't Sony. Like, at that time, think about it. Sean.
Yeah, it's a Sony.
At that time,
Sony
was massive.
I remember.
Like, you had the Walkmans, you had the Sony Wegas, which were amazing TVs.
They really were.
Like, they were a juggernaut. They were getting into computers. So, at that time, does it behoove you to turn around and go to Sega and go like, "Hey, why don't we start talking to each other a little bit here? Because these guys are coming," especially, and maybe you don't do it year 1, year 2, but dude, by year 3, year 4, they're kicking your teeth down your throat. Yeah. At that point, maybe it's like, "Hey, why don't we try to make this CD add-on?" You know, like.
But that's just it, man. Sega was falling apart by this point. Like, I don't even know if you want to take up any of their stuff. Like, they were just, nothing was attractive about them, and they had spent so many years trying to be the anti-Nintendo that why would you even, like, the pieces just don't even fit in together. But I see what you're saying. Yeah. Somebody had to recognize that Sony was after the living room, and it wasn't until Microsoft came into it. They were like, "Oh snap!" Like, Nintendo's off playing with toys and whatever, and Sony's after TVs. They're after, like, trying to be the center, sitting next to cable boxes.
Yeah,
I don't know. Cool topic, man.
It brings more questions than answers.
For sure, in my opinion.
It's probably the first episode that we've done in this whole entire run where I'm just like, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah,
I really don't know, because as many answers you have doubts.
Oh, for sure.
And it's like, well, maybe I could go this way. And it's like,
it's almost like that's what happened.
As much as I keep repeating myself and going like, man, I like cartridges. I like to know load times. At the back of my mind, I'm going like, that's not a business move.
Yeah.
That's not a good, strong business move. You know what I mean? Like, the business side of me goes, no, you do make it work with Philips. You do pull them in and go, no, you're going to make us a CD maker that reads games, and we are going to make this work.
I think that is it. That is the thing that we didn't really talk too much about. We mainly talked about partnering with Sony or not. We kind of conflated those two things. But what the hell happened with the Philips thing? Like, why not just...
Yeah,
that should have been a little quicker.
Yeah, they
That's,
should.
that's probably the answer. Is Philips
because that was
because they could have strong armed Philips, and that's why they like them. Like Sony was, like you said, this juggernaut. Philips is like they're fine, like they're capable, and that's why they partner with them. But they're not going to take over anything.
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all. So that is all. Thank you guys for another action-packed, awesome episode of If We Ran Nintendo. You can follow myself at Nintendo Gurus over on Instagram, on Twitters. You can follow Sean Capri, Sean like Connor, Capri like the pants. If you would like to support him financially, you can check him out over at patreon.com/makeusbetter. Our co-host is not here this week, Jason Lacy. Follow him at JW Lacy. Also, as well, he has a Patreon, patreon.com/fluxdeposed. That is all. Peace out, Preston.
Sorry about your luck, Toby.